straight in the eyeball. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel if you're new, or welcome back if you're not. So for today's video, as you've seen from the title, I'm going to do a makeup tutorial inspired by Beyonce's look at the Grammys. And I was particularly taking inspiration from her look with the gold outfit and the headscarf as she was after her performance doing her acceptance speech. So hence the get up. This was a scarf that I bought, it's just a plain nude one, and then I stuck on all these embellishments to make it more glitzy. And you'll also see at the end I added in some coloured hairspray to make my hair a little bit lighter, or it was supposed to be blonde but it's more yellow gold. But anyway, so I tried to make the tutorial as accurate as I could. I looked at a list of the products that were used on her by her makeup artist Sir John, who is a L'Oreal ambassador. So he had named a whole bunch of L'Oreal products that were used on her. So I wrote a list and I went out to Boots and tried to get my hands on as much as I could. Now there were some of them that I just couldn't get, some things you can't get here in Ireland that you can get in America, and there are some things that are like named differently or packaged differently and they would be like the equivalent. So in the top line of the description box I will have a link to my blog, and there I'll have a list of everything that I used in the tutorial, as well as a list of those products that were used on Beyonce, and I'll also have more pictures of the look, so do check that out if you're interested. And I literally picked up all those L'Oreal products yesterday. I went out and bought gold jewellery and this scarf and all these gems and a bunch of makeup. So today was my first time using those products, so at the end I will give my first impressions and my thoughts on those products as well. So it's a Beyonce tutorial slash L'Oreal first impressions. So I hope you like the look, guys, and I hope you enjoy the video. So I've just applied a little bit of a transparent eye primer, and I'm just going to go over that with a cream coloured eyeshadow to set that, but also just to take down any redness or discoloration, because I did have to do a little bit of plucking before I started, so we want to conceal that redness. So to start off the eyeshadows, we're going into the La Palette Nude from L'Oreal in the colour beige. I'm taking this light warm matte brown, and the brush I'm using is the Nicola from Nima brush, and that is going above my crease as a transition shade. Now from the list of products that I could find, it just said the L'Oreal La Palette Nude. Now that comes in different shades, so in the shop that I was in, or in the couple of shops that I was in, the only shades that I could see were in, I think, rose or something and beige. And the product list said that they used, or he used, the matte browns from the palette. And the beige palette was kind of the one that had more browns, and especially matte browns. So there may be another palette that just isn't available here that he was working from, or multiple palettes. But this is the one I chose to go for, that would be the most similar. But I may also add in other shadows as well to get it as similar as possible to the look. So next I'm going to use a cream eyeshadow. Now the product list said that he used the L'Oreal Infallible Paint eyeshadow in Nude Fishnet. So these are the L'Oreal eye paints that I could find, and I couldn't find anything in Nude Fishnet, but there was this one which was the most nude colour in Eternal White, I think it is, yeah, 101 Eternal White. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of that into the inner corners and then in the centre of the eye as well. And that will just give us a little bit of dimension to work on top of with our powder eyeshadows. So then going back to that L'Oreal palette, I'm going to take this matte brown here, and I'm going into the crease with that and blending upwards. And I'm also going to bring it on to the outer corners of the eyelid. So the inside and the outside, to kind of create that halo or spotlight effect. And I'm also going to run that under the eye as well. And then taking the darkest brown in the palette. So similar to what we just done, that's going into the crease and the corners of the lid, but just a little bit more precise. Then from there I'm going to go back to that medium brown, and from the corner of the eye I'm just going to blend it outwards. So not really creating like a winged shape as such, but just subtly pulling it out towards the temples. And then taking the darker brown and doing the same thing, but again, just being a little bit more precise, not pulling it out quite as far. It's just that we're not having quite as rounded of a shape. It's not even pulling out past my brow, say, it's just going in that direction. And it's just giving a little bit of shape to the shadow. So then I'm going to add a little bit of a pencil liner, so again I could work on top of it with the shadows. And her makeup artist used the L'Oreal Matte Liner. Now he used it in deep brown, but that isn't available at the booths here that I could find anyway, so I just got it in the black. But I'll be going over that with brown shadows anyway, so it should hopefully be okay. So I'm going to line my top and bottom lash lines. I'm also just going to tight line my top waterline as well. So then I'm actually going to take the little brush that comes in the palette. It's a small little, what I would call a detail brush. I wouldn't use it as an all over shadow brush. And I'm going to take the darkest brown and buff over that line. So it's giving us some nice definition. You can see the difference there in the eye, but it's not super intense black. So I'm going to do the same on the bottom. So you can see that just gives a more smudgy, smoky liner effect rather than a graphic liner. So I'm then going to take this rosy shimmer shade from the palette on my blending brush, and I'm going to apply that to the center of the eye and blend either way. And then that's as much as I'm going to do with the L'Oreal eye products. I'm going to add a little bit of my own shadows to it, because as I've said, I'm not sure if it's a different lip palette nude that he used, but also I would imagine that while he based the look around one of those palettes, or started the look with one of those palettes, I would imagine he added in other products as well. So I'm going into my trusty Kat Von D Shade and Light eye palette, and I can see some kind of reddy warmth above her crease. So I'm going to take this shade right here, which is called Succubus, this one here, on a MAC 224, and I'm going to pop that very lightly just above the crease. Just need the tiniest bit. We're not trying to add loads of colour, it's just to give that crease a little bit of warmth. And I'm just going to bring a touch of that under the eye as well, just to balance that colour. I'm also then just going to take a touch of this gold shadow, again from L'Oreal. I picked this up, but I picked it up instead of a different product, which I'll talk about later. But this is the Color Riche palette, or Color Riche shadow in the colour Lumiere. I'm going to use that on a Real Techniques shading brush, and I'm popping that from the centre of the lid, blending inwards. Okay, now going back to my Kat Von D palette, I'm taking the darkest brown. It's a cool brown, it's called Salios, or Salios, I'm not sure how you say that. But I'm going to start darkening the outer corner and using that on my crease brush. And then I'm going to use that little tiny brush that came with the L'Oreal palette and take that same dark brown from the Kat Von D palette and run that along the lower lash line, mainly just on the outer half. I'm now just taking some of that gold shadow again and pulling it up into the crease from where it is. So just kind of the middle and inner portion, just to brighten up some of that crease and kind of open up the eye a little bit. There aren't very many good close-ups of her makeup, so I'm just going kind of between different pictures and zooming in on different angles and trying to like piece together her look. And from what I can see, that gold does come up above her crease. Now again, because he used a dark brown liner on her, I'm going to switch over to the Urban Decay 24/7 pencil in Hustle, and I'm going to apply that to my lower waterline, because that's not something that I can kind of blend out of black with brown shadow. For mascara, what was used on Beyonce was the voluminous original mascara in black brown. Now again, I couldn't get that here, so I just picked up a different L'Oreal mascara. I needed a new mascara anyway, so I thought I'd try this one out. This is a 2-step fibre mascara, so I'll see how that works. I will be adding lashes as well, so it's not going to make a massive difference. So the mascara that I picked up is the False Lash Superstar X Fibre Mascara. So the first step is the black primer, I believe. So I'm popping on step 1, which is just like a regular mascara. And then step 2 is the fibres. I don't know if I've ever used a fibre mascara before. I don't think I have. Let's see what this is like. So it's definitely thickening them, but it's just making them go a little bit spider-leggy. Making them more dramatic, but not particularly flattering, I don't think. But anyway, as I say, we're going over with lashes, so it just gives us a grand base to work on anyway. So for lashes, again, there wasn't really many close-up good pictures of her makeup, so from what I could see, they weren't crazy dramatic. They just gave a nice bit of volume. They weren't like particularly long from what I could see, so I'm just going to take a nice natural pair of lashes. These are the Giselle lashes from Huda Beauty. So I will apply these off camera and I'll be right back. So that is those lashes on. Again, I didn't want something that was going to be super dramatic and overpower the look and have too much length in it. I just wanted something that would give me a fuller lash line and add a little bit of glamour. So we're going to leave the eyes at that for now and move on to the brows. Again, another product that I couldn't get was the Brow Stylist Frame and Set. So instead I just picked up a L'Oreal brow pencil. This is the Brow Artist Expert. So it comes with kind of almost kind of a waxy pencil and then a little comb, or not a comb, a spoolie. So we're just going to see how this goes. And then just going to go in with my Brow Wiz from Anastasia in a medium brown and add a little bit of colour under my natural hairs. So I think that's as good as I'll get the shape without going too overboard and looking too fake. Beyonce obviously has beautiful natural looking brows, so I just don't want to go too overboard with mine, and that's also why I opted for a pencil. Now, so those are the brows done, so next it's on to the skin. Now, the L'Oreal foundation that Sir John applied to Beyonce was the Pro Glow foundation, which I couldn't get, and I don't think you can get it here at all. So I just picked up 2 different L'Oreal foundations. I got the Infallible 24-hour matte. I didn't even mean to get that. I meant to get the total cover. Oh well. So I have the Infallible matte and I have the True Match. So I might do a mixture of those. So I'm just applying the Infallible matte to my T-zone and the center of the face. Number 1, because it's the lighter shade, and also because it's matte and those are my more oily areas. And then I'm just going to dot the True Match along the outside of the face. I'll pop a little bit on the neck because it might be a little bit dark, but we'll blend it down. Zoom out a little bit too. Right, so I'll start from the center. So the next part that I'm going to use is the Infallible Total Cover Concealer Palette. From the product list, I saw that he used the Total Cover Concealing and Contour Kit, which when I googled it, again, seemed to be just in a similar palette but with darker shades, and it didn't have these colour corrector shades. So I'm just presuming that the formula will be the same but the shades might be different. So I'm going to take the second shade here on a fluffy synthetic brush. This is the Zoeva 142 Concealer Buffer Brush. I just want to see what that's like under the eyes. Decent coverage, nice colour. I quite like that, you know. I'll have to see how it wears and if it creases and all that. But because it's a cream and it's more matte, It's not too liquidy. I'm hoping that it won't crease too much. Now he also used the Infallible Pro Contour palette, which again when I googled it looked the same as this Infallible Sculpt palette. So we'll use that. And I got the shade Light Medium. So this is a cream product and I'm not the biggest fan of cream contour and highlighting, but we'll see how we go. So I'm going to start off with the highlight shade. Pop that kind of under the eye on the top of the cheek and up onto the cheekbone. Even though we've already kind of highlighted with our lighter foundation, just want to try this out as well. And I'm using a Primark angled contour brush, I think it is actually. And then I'll just use that concealer brush to apply it to the center of the face. And I'm blending that out with my foundation brush. Okay, I'm just touching up with some of the Infallible Matte Foundation where any foundation kind of got rubbed away. I'm just kind of pushing and pressing that product under the cheekbone, the darker shade. So before I set that, I'm going to use a cream shimmer highlight, and Sir John used the True Match Liquid Lumi Illuminator in Golden. Now again, from what I could see, this seemed to be the equivalent. This is the True Match highlight in the shade, which is Liquid Glow Illuminator Prime Blend and Highlight, okay, in the shade Golden Glow. So this seemed to be like the Irish and UK version of the Lumi Illuminator. So I haven't even swatched this. I'm just gonna squeeze a little bit out onto the back of my hand, like so. And I'll just pop that to the cheekbones. It blends into quite a soft highlight. They do have a lighter shade as well if you're fairer, and if the gold would be too dark as a highlight. So now I'm just going to set the face with a translucent pressed powder. I'm just using my Rimmel Stay Matte powder. And then I'm going to add a touch of blush. I'm just going to take my Sleek Suede blush. Just apply that to the cheeks. Just give a touch of colour. So now onto a powder shimmer highlight. What he used was a gold eyeshadow. It was the Infallible 24-Hour Shadow in Eternal Sunshine. Now that range of single eyeshadows wasn't available to me, so that's why I picked up the Lumiere Colour Riche shadow, which is also a gold eyeshadow, so I said I'd try that in its stead. I will just dust that on top of the cheekbones and see how that goes. So I'm popping that on with an Inglot 4SS brush. It's going to take up a little bit at a time because I don't know what way it's going to pick up. So it was all about the golden glow. Just going to pop a little bit on my Cupid's bow and tip of the nose. Okay, now I am just going to add a little bit of a nose contour. I think I'll just go back into the Infallible Sculpt palette and take that contour shade. And I'm just using a small synthetic blender brush because she definitely has a nose contour going on. So then finally it's on to lips. Now what was used on Beyonce was a mixture of 2 of the Dose of Colours liquid lipsticks, which I wouldn't have been able to get my hands on quickly enough. So I'm going to use a Revlon liner. This is the Colour Stay liner in the shade Nude. So I've lined my lips and kind of blended it in so that it's a thicker line. And I'm then going to take this lipstick here. It's the 505 Freedom lipstick from Inglot. Okay, so that's basically the look done. There is one other touch to add, but that could basically make or break the look, which is a bit of gloss to the eye, which was added before her performance. So it does just make the lid that bit glossier, I suppose, and shinier, and picks up the light a bit more, especially on camera and on stage with lights like that. And as I say, it could either make the look or break the look and ruin it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some pictures now, and then we'll add that finishing touch. So I'm just going to add in some gold jewellery for the pictures. Just some gold hoops. She used some kind of bigger statement earrings. And then I picked up just a bunch of gold necklaces. I couldn't find anything that was similar to what she was wearing, which is like a thick, almost kind of tribal style necklaces. So we're just going to pop on a bunch of gold, just so you can see what I'm putting on. And before I take any pictures, I almost forgot. He said he mixed the liquid highlight with a bit of moisturizer and applied that to her body to give that sheen. So I will do that. So just mix that on the back of my hand, and I'm dotting that on first. Now it's a fairly sheer highlight anyway, so I'm just going to go back in with the highlighter on its own and just apply that to any high points to catch the light. The main look that I was taking inspiration from was when she had the headscarf on and she was doing her acceptance speech. I thought she just looked so regal and beautiful, so I kind of took inspiration from that, and that's why we're applying this. Forward or back? I know she pushed it back before she went out on stage. Oh, a little bead came off. I stuck all this on as well. I bought a nude scarf, and then I bought a load of like stick-on pearls and gems and stuff. So some of them are coming off because they're just stick-on. There it goes. Oh yeah, it's forward in the picture, so go forward. So I'm going to take some pictures like this, and I'll insert them here. Okay, so we're going to add two things, one thing to the makeup and one thing to my hair. I'll add the gloss last, just because I don't want it to start creasing and really messing up. So to the hair, obviously I have dark brown hair and Beyonce has more blonde. So we're going to add some spray. This is a Claire's hairspray, colour hairspray in blonde. So I tested it on a little patch of my hair, and it came out more kind of golden, so that might work. And so I'm just gonna take out the front because that's really the only bit of hair you can see with the headscarf on. Ooh, fingers crossed. Oh God. Oh, I don't know about that. Oh Jesus. It's like yellow. It's more similar, I suppose, to her hair colouring. But I mean, it's literally freaking shimmery yellow gold. I don't know why they called it blonde. They should have just called it gold. Oh, it's patchy. I mean, straight in the eyeball. Did that ruin my makeup? No, probably just enhanced the highlight. That went straight into my eye. Right, I think that's probably as best as we're gonna get it. Look at the cut of my hand. Oh God, I'm gonna have to scrub that later. Oh, commitment. So now for the gloss. So I just have a lip gloss. This is a clear one from Collection. I just use a small little fluffy synthetic. I've never actually done this, I don't think. Done the glossy eye, because it's not a wearable look. It is lovely for pictures and performances and shoots and things, but it's just gonna crease your eyeshadow and it's not gonna wear well. Zoom me in again. So I'm applying that to the center of the lid and pulling it up just above the crease, just very lightly with a small amount. You can always add more if you don't have enough, but it would be nearly impossible to undo it. So that is what it looks like. As you can see, it really picks up the light and just makes it more high shine. So I'm gonna go take pictures before this goes into a creasy mess, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the finished look with the gloss and gold hairspray and all. I actually quite like the way the glass looks on the eye. It does capture the light that bit more, but as expected it's starting to crease a bit. So now that we've finished the look, I'm just going to give you my thoughts on those L'Oreal products. So the eye palette, the La Palette Nude in Beige, is fairly nice for like an everyday palette. Nice wearable nude shades, and I like the fact that they have mattes and shimmers. So that is a lovely one if you like more natural makeup, or if you want something that you can use really quickly for just a go-to everyday makeup. And I like the fact that I found a use for the brush that comes with it. The pencil, where is it? The Superliner Matte is actually really nice. It's nice and pigmented and soft, but it's not too creamy that it's sliding all over the place. It still sets down and you just have a little bit of time to smudge it out. And then the Eye Paint Cream Shadow. This was quite nice. I think it'd be lovely all over the lid. And maybe just with a shimmer shadow press on top and a soft brown in the crease. It'd be lovely, like quick everyday go-to look. Or if it was used a little bit heavier. I didn't want to go too heavy with it because it was more of that kind of white creamy shade rather than a nudie or goldy shade. So I think if you use it a little bit heavier and use it as a base for a shadow, it would be lovely in some highlight areas. But it wouldn't be one if you want a real strong, thick, metallic cream eyeshadow. It's more of it's more sheer once it's blended out. The mascara was only okay. If you like thick black lashes, then maybe give it a try, but keep in mind that it doesn't keep them like separated and defined. It does make them quite spider-leggy, is what they looked on my lashes anyway. It depends on what way your lashes are as well. So that one I wasn't particularly mad about. For the brows, the Brow Artist Expert, this was more of a waxy pencil, and I found that it would give a lovely natural look just to colour in what you have and just to add a little bit of shading. But I found for shaping the brows, like adding some colour underneath the brow where I don't have any hair, I couldn't really do that. It was just too soft, and especially when you go over with the spoolie, because it's so soft and waxy, the spoolie really moves an awful lot of the product. So that's good again to give a more natural and a softer look, and it's also good if you make any mistakes. It just removes them really, really easily. But that is why I then went in with my Anastasia Brow Wiz and just applied the product where I needed to add any thickness or kind of shape the brow anyway. But I definitely think this would be a handy one for just a quick on the go natural look again, just to add a little bit of colour through the brow on what's already there. For the foundations, I actually really like the Infallible 24-Hour Matte one. It is nice and matte, and for me as an oily skin girl, I do like that, and there is buildable coverage in it. When I did my first layer, I went back in and applied a second layer to those same areas and found that I could get decent coverage over my pigmentation. So I really like this one. This one was okay just because I like a lot of coverage, because I can always see my pigmentation from acne scarring and stuff coming through foundation, and it bothers me. So this one does have a lovely natural finish, and I would say it is a good foundation to try unless you're looking for maximum full coverage. The liquid highlighter, the True Match Highlight in Golden, I thought this was actually really, really nice. Lovely and subtle, and just gives that glow rather than beaming shimmer highlight. It's more of a glow from within, which is more of kind of a high-end celebrity style look rather than being kind of sparkly and shimmery. I thought that looked really, really nice and soft on the skin on its own, and I also thought it was lovely on like the chest and shoulder area to catch the light, so that would be lovely, especially during the summer. The Lumiere Colour Riche eyeshadow, I wasn't mad about as an eyeshadow. I wanted it to be a little bit smoother in texture. However, I did like it on the cheekbones. I thought it gave a lovely golden shine, and it worked really well over that True Match highlight. Oh, and I forgot to mention the concealer, the Infallible Total Cover Concealer Palette. Now, I only used the one shade, but really what I was testing was the formula, and I did really like it. I have it under the eyes, and so far, minimal creasing, which is kind of my big thing that I look for in concealers. If you are dry under the eye, I'd go for maybe more of a liquid than a cream like this, because it is more matte, so it can look a little bit more drying, but nothing too crazy or anything. And I really like the coverage that it had as well, so I'm pleased with that concealer. And then we have the Infallible Sculpt Contouring Palette. I actually thought that I would like the highlight and not the contour, but it was the other way around. I didn't like the highlight. I thought the texture was weird on the skin, at least on my skin anyway. It did go kind of cakey, and while I was applying it on, I wasn't swiping, I was more pressing it on so as not to remove the foundation, but it still did. It clung onto the foundation and did kind of remove that. and it just sat kind of just cakey and bitty, and it sunk into my pores. So it just didn't look nice on my skin anyway, so that's why I had to go back over with the matte foundation and touch up that area to fix the coverage that was lost and also fix the finish. But the contour shade I actually like, because it is a nice grey contour shade that's going to give you the illusion of a shadow, which is essentially what you're doing with contour. Now I would say if you're any darker than me, go for the next shade up. There is a darker combo, just because it can start to look more ashy if you're on a warmer or darker skin tone. On me, I found it fine once it was blended in, and it just gives a subtle shadow of a contour, which is quite nice and natural, and it doesn't look like contour, if you know what I mean. Because contouring and all that is so in, it's more acceptable to have like a strong contour that you can really see, and if the right shades are used and if it's blended well, it can look really nice. I personally like a strong contour. I like to be able to see my makeup, but this just gives a nice little bit of shadow and definition to shape the face without standing out as contour on your face. So I was quite happy with that contour shade. So I think that is all of the L'Oreal products that I used. So thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way through, definitely give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. And I will have a link to my blog post in the top line of the description box, and there you'll find a full product list of everything I used, a product list of the L'Oreal products that were used on Beyonce, and more pictures of the look. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Also subscribe while you're here if you haven't already. So thank you so much again, I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Okay. I can't open it with my slippy hands. I actually quite like the way that